One of them popped right the fuck up, man. Oh yeah, this is. Oh my god, this is amazing. This is amazing. Are you a cowboy with those glasses
That
on?
it's I don't know. I think that's the aesthetic that they were going for with it. Was a cowboy ass situation.
Oh, Neil, these are phenomenal. These are phenomenal. You are the ballsiest man I have ever seen. Oh my god, I don't know. I don't know whether to make fun of you immediately and hard or to like slow clap for this amazing ballsiness here.
My favorite is when I presented the chicken coop.
When you presented the chicken coop. I gotta be honest, I'm partial to the one with you and the horse, with the Happy Valentine's Day thing in front of you, and the horse is like nuzzling you.
Yeah. So if you look in that picture, she actually gave me a treat for the horse because the horse
Oh,
wasn't having any of it. Because to let you know, that day was the day that we randomly had snow.
right, right.
I was cold
Cold.
as shit. The horse didn't even want to be
Do
out
you
there.
do you have a flower in your mouth? You have a flower in your mouth in this
Oh
one.
yeah, I do.
Oh, I
It,
want to
it
make
was
this my
picked,
wallpaper.
it was picked directly from the ground right
Oh
there.
my god, Neil, these are fucking phenomenal. I oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. All right. All right. I I don't know how to respond to these. Cuz there's like a real fat guy admiration coming from me to you of like way to be out there, and then there's another like real evil piece of shit part of me that just wants to just like what the fuck is happening in some of these. But so I'm just gonna cancel it out and say these are definitely pictures. Oh my god, I love the one where you're standing with your leg up on the fucking tractor.
Oh yeah,
Like, hey, what's up?
yeah. The pictures.
I'm a
I
cowboy.
was yeah. I was just like, so she was just like, oh, do you have any ideas of like poses or anything you want to do? I'm like, I literally have no clue. I'm just here to be fat without my shirt on. Like you just kind of mold me like the flabby clay that I am.
Yeah, Neil, you've made my day. You really have. This is something else, man. I'm interested she took a dude who is a gamer and a nerd and made him a cowboy. I thought that's
Yeah,
interesting choice.
it was a weird aesthetic for me too. Because like whenever we were talking about everything, she was like, "Oh, like bring boots and I'll have like a cowboy hat and everything." Like there's other pictures that she's done for this. At least the one other set that I've seen, it was just yeah, it was a dude with a cowboy hat, same sort of situation. That guy was laying down in one of those like metal basins, though.
Wow, man. Wow. That's yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't I okay. I don't know how to like respond any more than I have
I know.
because either I'm going to say
There's no
something
words.
terrible or I'm going to say something super nice and I don't know which one's the right way to go. So yeah. So I'm just going to move on, man. Thank you for these. I'm
Oh
going to say
yeah.
that. Thank you for these. Oh wow. Oh wow.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming, and you, dear listener / viewer, have chosen for whatever reason to listen to another Horrible Gaming Podcast. I am not alone, and usually I am never alone. With me is
Neil, a.k.a. a tiny wizard.
And welcome everybody out there. I hope you guys had a good Mother's Day, celebrated Mother's Day with the mothers that deserve it. So, before we get into our show today, we have to thank the people that helped us get here. Number one, if you're watching this on YouTube, behind the fancy timestamps and our ugly mugs, which you guys have all resoundingly said you enjoy, so we're going to keep doing it, is a custom picture, Old Man Gaming, that was provided by Mr. Mark Bell. We thank him for that. And then, of course, the theme song for this show and all of the shows here at Old Man Gaming are provided by the man who makes the music, my brother, Nick Van Sliders. We thank him for that. Yeah.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
That brings us to our first segment, our most important segment, that is fan interaction. That is where we, the co-hosts of this podcast, talk to you guys, the fans. We read out your comments where we find them, we riff on them, we answer your questions, all that fun stuff. So we got 4 comments this week, and let's get into them. First, Asylum 66. I don't care they haven't showed anything about Starfield. Mainly because Starfield isn't even on my radar. It's just going to be Fallout in space. Bet it will have rad scorpions and death claws somewhere. So I don't know about that. I will say Asylum, that's totally cool. We have a gaming podcast and must reference everything as if we're super into it too. So I also think that Starfield needs to show. They need to show more. They just need to show more as a company.
100%.
Like, I am glad it is not on your radar because it's probably going to be a train wreck, and you don't need that in your life. But we decided for whatever stupid reason to do a gaming channel / podcast. So all the dumb shit has to be on our radar. Asylum 6. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, in reference to all of that, like, I am like, I guess loosely excited is what I can, the best way I can describe it. Especially after the whole cyberpunk situation, it's like, it's one of those things to where I'm already mentally expecting it to come out and be a big pile of dog shit.
Right.
Just like Cyberpunk was. But at the same time, I am a sucker for a huge ass free roam open world.
Yeah, especially something like this.
Yeah, so it's like one of those things where like I've been itching for something like that for a while. So if it comes out and it's not good, my expectations are already set, because if you remember when before Cyberpunk came out, we had a conversation. I think I said the exact words of, if this game comes out and sucks, we have a problem. I mean, for shit's sake, you had even said that we would have a problem if Cyberpunk is referred to as the Dick and Balls game, and it almost kind of is. Yeah. Like, generally, metaphorically speaking.
Yep.
So, I mean, expectations are definitely tempered. I will play it when it comes out, but I'm not like Ermagerd Starfield. You know?
Hey, as a person who still plays Skyrim to this day on stream, Bethesda has made some great games that I've absolutely loved. I liked Fallout 4, not nearly as much as I like Skyrim, but I like big open world games like that.
Yeah.
That being said, I think that the aesthetic that they're trying to put forward with is this kind of like NASA punk sort of thing also sounds really interesting and unique. Everything they've told us about it sounds interesting and unique to me.
I already know where you're going with this.
But they haven't shown us anything.
Yep.
And, like, I'm not going to lie to you. Zach from 2 years ago, 3 podcasts in, would have been all hyped about this. Would have been on the fucking roof every time we heard anything about it. Zach from Right Now, 2 years in, jaded and beaten down from researching gaming way more than he should. I am very nervous that they haven't showed me anything, and this feels like a big old fucking scam. And I don't like scams anymore. Regardless of who's into the game or not into the game, I'm sick of scams. I'm sick of the scams in gaming. So that's what I'm calling out. If Starfield comes out and it's great, hey, more power to them. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong about every game. I want them all to come out. I want them all to be good, and I want them never to lie to us. But they've just lied to us so fucking much lately, you know? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. And I don't trust Bethesda. They haven't produced any really, really hard-hitting, awesome games in a while, in my opinion. They're running on the fumes of goodwill from, those old Fallout, Skyrim games, and that's really getting dried up because they just keep making like collector's edition bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Skyrim is going to get yet another port re-release, whatever, someday, one day. But even still, like, people will still buy it. They'll still play it. But like you said, like, the stuff that they've been having come out has not been spectacular. I mean, we've had Doom, but I mean, Doom is more so id than Bethesda. So, I mean, there's also that part of it, too.
Right. That is exactly right. All right. So Asylum 66 then continued, and this is about my plug, and he is 100% right about this. Asylum 66 says, you should put a link in the description for the wrestling game. Ladies and gentlemen, if you missed last week, I have a company called Axiom Games LLC. We are finally set to release our first ever tabletop role-playing game called Upper Hand. It is a professional wrestling-based tabletop role-playing game. We are in the final stages of playtesting and editing, and we are looking to release it early fall, late summer. That being said, I plugged this last episode, and then did not put a link to the YouTube channel, and I did not put a link to the Facebook page. I will rectify that this time, Asylum. Thank you for the comment. So, in the link below, if you are interested in tabletop role-playing games and professional wrestling, or either of the two, and want to check this out, please click the links. I will hopefully have something up on the YouTube channel before this goes live. I actually haven't had anything up. I've still been working on like the page descriptions and stuff, but I would love a subscription if you want, or even just go to the Facebook page and like it, because I'm going to post all the videos to the Facebook page. So that being said, I will correct that this week. Thank you for the heads up, Asylum. Jason, remember, you don't have to be good to get good. Thank you, Jason. Words of wisdom. And then, of course, we have William Hohen. Hi! Exclamation point. Making my day, as usual, William. First, congrats to Phil, parentheses, and his wife for his brand new baby. I hope it all went well and that the baby and mother are healthy. I'm going to go ahead and just jump in here and say it did go well. They are healthy, and I'm just going to thank you for him. We got to meet the baby this last weekend. Doing great. So, yes. I'm not going to say any names or anything. It's not my place. It's Phil's place to say stuff like that. But, yeah. Doing good. Well, they're all doing good.
That is very good. And a big old congrats to them. Especially, Mother's Day weekend and everything, too.
I will say this. As a family, May's going to suck from now on, because my kid's birthday's in May. The mom's birthday is in May, and now their second kid's birthday is in May with Mother's Day. So that's going to be a nightmare from here on out. Then, continuing with William's post, everything is going to be terrible. Words from the prophet Zach. As true today as it was when it was written. Thank you. I am a beacon of negativity. On the subject of Apple Games Update, parentheses, but it concerns every platform. Games preservation is a real issue, in particular in our digital age. Someone will have to figure something out. some games are awful cash grabs, but many games are pieces of art. He then continues, maybe things will get better now that Square Enix is bought by Embracer Group. Funny you should say so. We're going to talk about that today.
Yeah.
I think it's just Western game studios they sold, though, didn't look into it that much, which you are correct. We're going to talk about that later. And then he says, Zach, why do you want to see Starfield gameplay so bad? Not seeing gameplay is the best way to not be disappointed. Woo! Hype train. Please show us more CGI trailers and concept art. Woohoo! Pre-order bonuses, please. And then he just put a series of frowny faces in. Thanks for the show. Cheers. Cheers to you, William. Let me just go ahead back to the game preservation thing. Games preservation is a huge issue. A huge issue even for games that are a little bit more monetized. I have a copy of Destiny upstairs on Xbox 360. That game does not exist anymore in any form, anywhere, but I have it upstairs. If I plug it into my Xbox, it just says this game doesn't exist anymore. And that's a bummer because, look, I was never a huge Destiny guy, but Destiny had a story. It had a whole, it had voice work, story, writing, serious graphical design in it, systems. Those are all lost to the fucking winds because we haven't figured this out yet, especially in an age right now with multiplayer stuff. That's the real stuff that requires servers. Those are the things that are they're just lost to the ages when people stop making them,
Mm-hmm.
I have a solution personally, but
what is it?
my solution is once a company is about to stop running the servers for a game, they should open up the source code. They should open up the source code and allow other people to run servers. Because I'm going to tell you right now, online, you can go and find an Ultima Online server. Ultima Online is 30 years old, guys. And people still run it, they still play it, because somewhere along the line they said, hey, you could just run your own server. And people started doing that. If you did that, there would always be a dedicated group of people that would keep the game alive. And if they didn't, well, then maybe the game didn't deserve to be alive. You know what I mean? Open up the source code. If you're going to shut down your servers, you're not going to be making any money on it anymore anyway. Let other people use it. Let other people use it. Let other people keep it alive in any way they want,
Yeah. And just a brief touching on as well, there was a little bit of an update to that Apple story in regards to the update, the mandatory updates for any sort of app on the App Store.
Right.
They clarified that window of time, and I believe it was 90 days that
That's
they have to
That's
issue an
teeny.
update.
That is absolutely teeny. That I was expecting to be 6 months or something. 90 days to not. There are games that don't update in 90 days and they're not dead.
Mm-mm.
Shit, man. Half the games I play that are still alive don't get updates every 90 days. Oof, that's...
Yeah,
I don't think No Man's
ridiculous.
Sky gets an update every 90 days.
Mm-mm.
That's insane. Oh, that's insane. Yeah, I don't even know where to start with that. And then, the Embracer Group stuff we're going to talk about. So we're just going to save that for the meat and potatoes of it because that's going to be our talking point, I think. As far as the Starfield gameplay, that's the thing, man. I think not seeing gameplay is the best way to get disappointed because then you buy the game and you get real disappointed. So, I don't know. Like I said, I hate a scam, and I feel like they're scamming us right now. I feel like I'm in a Ponzi scheme.
Well, the best part about all that is there's a lot of people out there who will not be spending 1 red cent on it.
Oh, yeah?
Because it's gonna be when Starfield comes out, it's gonna be on the Game Pass
Okay.
service.
Look,
So
I mean, that is cool, but it's not free.
That it makes it any better, right?
That's not free. They're getting the money from you from Xbox so that Xbox can charge you a subscription fee based off of it.
Right.
Like, I agree with you on some levels, but it's not free. And there's no way anybody on Steam's going to get their money back. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't know. I agree with you that that's nice, but at the same time, there is a level to like the Game Pass thing where people are like, "It's free," and I'm like, "No, it isn't. I get charged $9 every month for that service.
Yeah.
Like it's cheap and it's a great value, but it's not free.
It's no additional money going specifically to that game. So there's going to be a sect of people who get to, play it without having to spend money on it. That would be myself included.
Yes,
in that group.
me as well. I am in that sect with a smile on my face. No problems with that, because that's how I want to review a game like that. All right, well, that clears up fan tracks. You want to move into this talking point?
Sure.
All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Well, I mean, the gaps, though, especially around the base of the fire pit, you want to have some sort of airflow in from the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Fire fed too, so.
Well, and I always thought I was going to have some gaps. I feel like it's a little bit rolly. But, I was talking to Phil about it afterwards, and he actually pointed out, he's like, no matter how level you had that, it's going to be on level the minute, you have a rain or something, because the ground's going to settle.
That's also true.
And then it's going to shift. But yeah, put in a fire pit. Very proud of it. Rented a whole haul truck to do it, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this summer I plan on. We have the 2 retaining walls on the side of the driveway that I have to rebuild. So I have to do that. And then I'm trying to convince Kayla to let me get a gazebo for the backyard.
A gazebo?
Yeah, a gazebo.
Why do you want a gazebo?
Why?
Yeah. That's a weird thing to want.
I don't know. They're kind of nice.
What purpose does that serve?
You can sit outside, but it is covered, and the one that I was looking at has like little screen door things on the sides, like more like curtains.
Oh, okay.
But it keeps the bugs out.
Okay, so it's encased. Like, normally when somebody says gazebo to me, I just see like, it's got a roof, but it's just open, and it's just, you know what I mean? Like every gazebo I've had.
An raised platform thing.
With like a covering on the top, and that's usually what gazebo. Like when I see a gazebo, they don't have screens on them usually, But
no. Yeah, no. I'm looking to put like a cement pad situation down, like a 10 by 10 cement pad situation, and then put the gazebo around it.
Yeah, definitely do a cement pad, man. Otherwise, you're going to get nasty bugs and settling.
Oh, yeah.
Like, don't even fuck around with that. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. All right, well, you want to get into this then?
May as well.
All right, going in 3, 2, 1. All right, so that brings us to our talking point. The acquisition is all over the place. Everybody's buying something, and the FTC is just lying to everybody and saying they're going to investigate it. And so we had a latest one, and it's a real one. It's a real weird one, in my opinion. Embracer Group, which is like a publisher. They have a lot of different indie studios. They ended up buying a bunch of studios off Square Enix. The studios, I believe, now, Neil, you might know the details on this a little bit better. I believe it's Crystal Dynamics.
Yep.
And then, oh man, my brain's just not working. Why don't you give us the details, man?
Yeah, Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal have all been sold off to Embracer. As was mentioned earlier, as was mentioned earlier, they're all Western studios, the Western branch of Square's stuff. And what's really interesting is like the fact that Crystal Dynamics. I mean, we had Avengers came out, which we all know how that went.
Hmm.
I believe they were also responsible for the Guardians game, which won some awards. So it wasn't like
It
a
did.
complete failure. It wasn't,
Square didn't think it sold
smashing.
a much. It sold
Well, yeah,
enough.
it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't smashing any sales records for sure. Um, and then the Tomb Raider games, and they
Well, two of
apparently
them.
are. Well, yeah, two of
They
them.
didn't do the third one. The third one was a
But
different studio.
right, but they apparently had another Tomb Raider
Yeah.
in the works as
Still
well.
do, if I recall correctly.
Still do, yeah. While this is all going on, and yeah, we have what was Eidos had the Deus Ex games. I don't know what else actually they really made.
They have made a few in it
I
that
know,
you
yeah.
wouldn't think of. Hold on. Eidos games. Oh, that's not helping me at all. Recent Eidos games? Keep talking while I look at this.
Yeah, well, I was actually going to start looking up some stuff too, but I forgot I have like a million different tabs open for my final project for school, and I'm scared to miss with anything. But I mean, this is just another chapter in this recent story that's been kicking off within the past 2 years of everyone and their mother buying up studios,
Yeah.
and they're all being consolidated more and more and more. Same two primarily umbrellas, because Nintendo's not really out there buying anything.
Yeah.
And it's constant anymore. Is somebody somewhere is getting bought somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
I mean, Embracer now has all of these. I struggle to recall what else Embracer has. Was it Gearbox? Was it Gearbox or 2K? One of the two.
Studios.
I mean, they have some
I
notable.
believe they have Gearbox now.
Yeah, they
if I
have
recall
some
correctly.
notable companies, in their little repertoire portfolio, whatever you want to call them. But I mean, Square is so bizarre anymore, because I mean, you think about what Squaresoft and came to be Square Enix, and it was all just strictly RPGs and like a little here and there, little
Dude.
thing offshoots and stuff. But
Embracer is huge.
yeah, Embracer's massive. I know
Embracer
that.
owns Dark Horse to start, and they also
Yeah.
own THQ Nordic.
Okay.
So they then own Koch Media, which is Deep Silver, which Deep Silver actually produces a ton of like weird indie games, like a ton of them. They own Gearbox. We were right about that. They own Saber Interactive, and then Amplifier, which I'm not familiar with. So, yeah, they own 10 operating groups, 119 studios, and over 850 franchises.
Yeah, it's weird. They're almost like a group that just buys up shit that people don't want.
Yeah.
And Square, Square was known for one thing. They started to branch out into other things. And I don't know if it's a matter of Square as a company, or at least the Eastern branch of it all, just like not jiving with the Western audiences, or what it is that they're trying to make with those. But Square does not really give much time for things to make money, from everything that we've seen with Outriders. And I mean, Avengers was a flop, let's be real, but
Yep.
all these others, even Guardians, they considered it a failure, so they're just going to offload it as soon as they possibly can.
Yeah.
But like that's not the big part of the story here. I think it's the fact that like we just have more and more, just again being consolidated under one big umbrella, to the point that we're only going to have like 3 main companies here soon that just own all of the things.
Right. Yeah, I think that what's interesting about this, what's really interesting about this is you said something last week to the effect of Square Enix doesn't care about their Western games. They just use them as cash grabs. And when they don't make money, they just quit on them or they just dump them. You said that, and then they sold them. Like the
Yeah,
day
like
after, they sold them all. And I think that is interesting. The fact that they sold basically all the studios that they take massive dumps on, and
right.
you say what you want about Kingdom Hearts and like Final Fantasy and those, they're not. I think those games have had a lot of missteps over the years, but there is still a level of love that seems to be put into those games that you can feel when playing them that just isn't put into the other to the Western games to the Tomb Raider was pretty good, but Shadow of the Tomb Raider was a nightmare, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider was one of the first where it's like you could see that it was more about the cash grab and less about the story. Marvel's Avengers, Outriders, like all of those games are the Western side of games for Square Enix, and they were all just crapped on for so long that it kind of lends credence to this whole like, oh, they really don't care about them so much that they just sold them to Embracer Group.
Yeah.
Embracer Group's a beast, though. Like an absolute beast now. And it blows my mind. There's a couple of these companies out there that are just like, does anybody realize how much they own? Like everybody's looking at the Xbox Bethesda thing, and then it's like, wow, Embracer's just got so much. The same with Tencent owns so many
Yeah.
studios, and so much of like, and it's a lot of it's like shovelware games, but still, Tencent makes just gazillions of dollars off that shit, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I will say this. I think that like everything that I've seen from Embracer Group as far as a company and how they handle their companies internally, I've liked. Have they had just nonstop wins across the board? Definitely not. They have too many companies for that. But it does appear that they give their studios a lot more leeway with their own games to try their own things, to do their own things. And I would love for Crystal Dynamics to have that kind of freedom again. Because let's face it, regardless of whether Marvel's Avengers was supposed to be a game as service or not, I mean, there's been a lot of debate as to whether it was intended to be that when they first started or it got like pushed by Square Enix or them or whatever. I think that regardless, I think they could have made a better game as service or narrative. They could have made a better game without Square Enix's influence. I just do, and I think Outriders the same way, though I'm not 100% positive People Can Fly was included in this transfer. I'm not sure because I was trying to look it up. I can't really find any concrete stuff about that, but them the same. Like I would love to see these companies get a chance to make their own games instead of be governed by a shitty company that does not, in in the words of one of their own developers, does not care about their fans or their games.
Yeah, I think that Square has definitely looked at everything through the lens of money in such a way like, I mean, companies are out there just to make money. Like we know that obviously,
Yes.
you can't knock them for running a business. It's just how they run the business, of course, that they
Well,
get judged upon.
and even the
But
companies, sorry to interrupt, but even the companies that people are like, oh, these companies are good companies, it's starting to come out that they're like Nintendo of America. A
Nintendo,
lot of
yeah.
stuff has been coming out about them just being shitty ass shitty. And it's great that their games are a little bit better to the point where people think that they're taking all this pride in their work. But at the end of the day, they're trying to make money.
Right. Yeah, there's been a whole bunch coming out, like with Nintendo and everything, and
Yeah.
like the companies, they want to, they want to make money. Of course, that's the purpose of any business, but they look at it through such a lens. It's ironic because it almost gives off a feel of, okay, this needs to make as much money as humanly possible, as as fast as it can. Uh, coming from the people who have their mainstay franchises have a development time of like 8 years on average for all of their games.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily how that stuff works. So like, what does this mean now? Like,
Right.
is Square just going to be straight up and down JRPGs again? Like,
Well, and they've actually said when they sold it that this is allowing them to get involved in NFTs. That was one of the
that's right.
that's
Yeah,
one of the
that's
reasons
all.
for the sale.
Uh,
Which I'm not gonna
that's
lie,
the
guys.
stupidest shit.
I'm not gonna lie. I might just be too old. This might just be the first thing that I'm just too old to get. I do not understand NFTs. Like fundamentally, I've watched a couple of videos on them, and I still don't really understand what they are
It
or why people
it
are buying them. You know?
just boils down literally like as simply as can be stated. It's a quote unquote unique thing. Even if somebody makes a duplication on the blockchain, it is reflected as an original owner of a thing. It is literally just a status thing.
Oh,
It's all
okay.
it is. It's stupid. I think it's dumb, especially the majority of a lot of this stuff like outside of gaming is just like literally pictures.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
right click save. Yeah, sure, I don't technically own it. What,
Right.
you want $200,000 for this JPEG? Get out
Right.
of here.
Yeah.
But like in regard to gaming, like don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like they had some okayish ideas, but like nowhere was the implementation of any of this remotely good,
Mm-mm.
because they had this whole idea of like unique items or like having a character in a game be an NFT. Like your character would be like a singular unique character more so than just a login. Like it's a proof of a thing. You can do whatever you want with it, but it was all centralized around money. And that is the
Yeah.
shittiest part of it. Like
Well, and
the
that's the
idea knowing that you could have agency over
Right.
like a character and like who knows, even use the blockchain to send an AI version of your character into somebody else's game to do things like whatever the game would be. Like that sounds cool as shit, but it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
It was all about like, here's this limited
Right.
edition skin that you have for your weapon. Guess what, guys? CS:GO has had that for years. You're
Right.
not reinventing the wheel.
Well, it's the same with the metaverse. Like it's
Metaverse,
funny.
that too.
I was watching a thing on it because that's another thing that I'm barely comprehending. And like this one guy was talking about it where he was like, "I've been predicting the metaverse forever. I think the metaverse is really cool." But then they were like, "Well, what do you think about like the implementation of it?" And he's like, "Oh, it's terrible right now because all it is a bunch of companies using it to try and make money, and basically." You're creating a dystopian digital future that's
Yep.
worse than the one we're already in. Like he was like, it would be really exciting because like this, like Second Life is technically a metaverse. Like,
Yeah.
and that's where I started to grab it. I was like, oh, that's what a metaverse is. Okay, I kind of get this now.
It's
But then like,
literally Ready Player One.
right, which no one had really explained it in that way to me before. It was just like the metaverse is this thing with these people, and then you're a thing over here, and then you can also do this thing, and there's NFTs and bitcoins, and we don't, you know what I mean? Like, but that's how he broke it down. It was like it's Second Life, it's Ready Player One, like that's what the metaverse would be. But like, it's like the people who are implementing this are Facebook. I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't want to exist in the digital dimension that Facebook created. Okay? Like, I've been on Facebook for like 10 minutes. Okay? And I don't want to be in a digital world created by that platform where it's just like racist people and like Russian hackers and then like militant leftists. Like, it's just like Facebook is a trash heap. Why would I want to then like go in there and like hang out? Like no fucking way, man. Like that kind of stuff. It's just like oh man, it's so ridiculous, and it's like the companies don't even see that they're just creating another dystopian future in a like a digital dystopian future. We got off the track.
Well,
And,
but at the same time, like it was real, but like at the same time, I mean, the head of Square penned that letter saying that that was their intention all along at the beginning of the year to focus on like NFTs and shit like that.
right.
So, I mean, that feeds right back into the fact that, they said that they sold these companies off to put more of their focus in there, like into that space. Like, what is Square? Is Square pulling a Konami now? And like,
I
well, we don't do video games anymore. We do
Planko
like
machines.
pachinko machines and shit like that. I mean,
What's really interesting to me too is what's coming out for Square now.
oh, like
Nothing.
the fuck nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Final Fantasy 16. Like, where's
Yeah.
that? That was
Yeah.
supposed to be out at
Kingdom
the
Hearts. They're all just
Kingdom
concepts
Hearts.
games. Like
Yeah, it's all of it is. They're all concepts, all ideas, all trailers that they put out, and they gauge interest. And like, okay, well, I guess we'll make that one
yeah.
because it got a pretty good reception.
Yeah.
And that's all they're doing. And at the same time, they're pushing these projects through at a snail's fucking pace. And in doing so, incur these huge costs for development.
Yeah.
And then turn around and expect everyone and their mother to buy 8,000 copies like themselves. Like, they want millions and millions of units sold on all of these games. And if it's not, well, then that was a failure. Well, it's a financial failure.
And that's what I don't get. It's because like they've literally sold off all their profitable companies. And even though they don't look at it that way, like the games that you have produced, like actually produced and released for sale in the last like 4 or 5 years have all come from these Western studios. Like the last game to come out of like Square Enix proper or any of the Square Enix Japan stuff was like Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3. That's it. That's all that's come out. Now, look, both of them were relatively good sellers. I'm not going to argue with that. But you look at the body of work that the other three companies that they sold have had, those are where the money's coming from. So, like, what, like, I hope you're expecting to make a lot of money off these NFTs because I don't see anything in your gaming pipeline coming out in the next like 2 or 3 years, and you don't have anything else coming out. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have anything producing anything right now. You know?
And it is worth noting, not to put the focus entirely on like the NFT, shit like that. It is worth noting that they sold these companies off when that entire market is collapsing rapidly.
Yeah.
So is that like their main goal? Like, we haven't heard outside of that initial letter that they wrote up until this point. They haven't told anybody anything about any of their plans as to what they plan on doing with that. Then one day we hear, okay, well, we're going to sell off some companies,
Right.
so that way we can focus more on that thing. Like, if
That's
they
not going well at all.
and it's not going well. And honestly, like, if Square wants to start getting away from making games and everything, they should just do it now, truthfully. Because, like you said, there's nothing really in the pipeline. Yeah, sure, we know Final Fantasy 16 is coming at some point, just like Final Fantasy 15 was coming at some point.
Right.
Same goes with the Kingdom Hearts 4. We knew Kingdom Hearts 3 was coming at some point. Both Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3 had damn near 10-year-long development cycles.
Yeah.
The amount of time and money spent on those can be spent in other places.
Yeah.
And I think they're starting to, maybe lose sight of what they are, or like what their plans are going to be in the future, like even what their identity is.
Yeah.
Maybe they are expecting this to refocus back on themselves
Right.
and like get back to basics. But from everything that we've seen come from them and all of the moves that they have made, it seems like that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
They're almost like a fish that's dying in a tank, swimming
Right.
sideways, just trying to stay afloat right now.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're like that the company itself is on the verge of collapse.
Right.
But I feel like they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
It's like Sony, man. It's like antiquated viewpoints without any progress, while just thinking we're doing great, or just chugging along. I will say this. Like I said, from what I've heard of Embracer, they are very supportive of their studios, and I really am looking forward to what Square Montreal, Eidos Montreal, and Crystal Dynamics are able to do with Embracer Group, with more control over the games that they're creating and working on. I am really interested to see what they can actually produce, because personally, I didn't hate Marvel's Avengers at its core. I just feel like it was half-baked. It needed more work. And Square Enix wasn't willing to give them the windows to work on the game in the way they should have. You know what I mean? Same with like a lot of other things that came from that. Shadow of the Tomb Raider definitely seemed, I don't know, it just had that push. Like all of a sudden it was open world. Why is this open world? It's been a narrative, story-driven game for 2 in a row. Why did you make it open world and fill it with a bunch of side quests that don't even make sense because the story is on a time clock, So like that being said, like I'd love to see what these games, what these companies can produce out from under what feels like a pretty regimented and crappy regime of Square Enix, which we've heard nothing but negative things about that company for a while now, especially towards their Western studios. I can't wait to see what these studios can make with Embracer Group, who, for all intents and purposes, I've never heard anything bad about them, never.
Right.
Like they allowed the guys making Biomutant to finish their game. They let them make it. There's a ton of games through Deep Silver that I absolutely love, including Deliverance Kingdom Come, which was a really interesting, cool game. And they just let them work on that. They let them make it in their own way. So, like, if Embracer's going to do that with these new companies, more power to them. I'm kind of glad,
Yeah, and I think it could breathe some new life into some stuff. Like, Tomb Raider is one of them. Whatever it is that they're working on there, that could give that series a fresh start. And then Deus Ex, I personally have not played any of the Deus Ex games, but I know they're widely regarded as good games.
And that got killed by Square Enix.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, Square didn't want anything to do with it. Well, now, the fans of those games can get what they want and get a new Deus Ex game.
Well, and I'll be really interested to see if a Tomb Raider game actually comes out of them right away, because I don't feel like Crystal Dynamics wanted to make Tomb Raider anymore, to be honest. I felt like they wanted to move on. And I felt like they were being forced to go back to Tomb Raider because it was a moneymaker. So I want to see if they even still make the Tomb Raider game, honestly. Yeah. And if Embracer has that same licensing right with Tomb Raider, I can't imagine, like, Embracer's got 119 studios. It could just pick a difference. Oh, you don't want to do that anymore? Fine. We'll
give it to
these guys
else.
These guys can make the next Tomb Raider, no problem. Make what you want to make. So let's see what comes out of that. Personally, is there anything you wanted to add to that, or you want to head over to odds and ends?
No, I think we can head on over to odds and ends.
That's what I like to hear. There. All right, we'll be right back with the odds and ends.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to odds and ends. In this segment, we collect smaller news stories that don't necessarily deserve a full talking point. We still want to tell you guys about them, riff about them, tell the other person about it, And that's what we do here. We just go back and forth. Neil has 3, I have 6. I'm starting us off. Should I start us off with a big one or a small one or a funny one? I think I'm gonna start us off with a funny one.
Oh man.
Guilty Gear Strive is a very popular, successful fighting game. It's Guilty Gear has had a big franchise of fighting games for quite a while. It's side-scrolling, hand-drawn art, kind of a futuristic anime sort of thing. Um, they've been steadily adding characters to it. Now, I don't think Neil saw this message that I sent to him, but
I literally am pulling it back up because I remember you sent it to me when I was at work, and I didn't get a chance to see it. I have it playing right now.
they have just added their newest character, Bed. It's a bed. Not even joking. The newest character added to Guilty Gear Strive is a bed that literally turns into a thing and you fight with it. No joke. No fucking joke. There is a fully animated trailer of it. I think I posted it on the Discord. Scroll up in the lounge to find it.
Reinforced and high density.
Yes.
It's got a mouth.
It does.
I hate it.
There is this movie from the 60s called Deathbed, the bed that eats people. Patton Oswalt actually does like a solid 5 minute like bit on it in one of his comedy specials. This immediately reminded me of that. I have actually seen that movie. It is terrible. Like terrible. But this one right here is like I saw that I was like, bed? This can't be real. And then I watched the video and I was like, this is real. They're adding a bed as a playable character to Guilty Gear Strive. I could not tell people about that one.
That's I know like games have always had like fighting games have always had some sort of joke character in them. But what's even worse is in like 4 months you're going to start seeing like pro bed combo videos.
100%. 100%. Okay, so you want me, since you got 3, you want me to do another one or you want to go?
Yeah, go ahead and do another one.
All right. Let's do a little bit of a more this is one we kind of already touched on. I just want to like reaffirm it. Final Fantasy 16 has been delayed. There is no real release date for it. They said that it was supposed to be out in 2022, but they said that we're really working hard on it. We want to give it a little bit more time in the oven, and they gave real vague everything across the board, which just says to me, it's not really a game yet. So there you go.
Well, I mean, remember too, it was supposed to launch at the end of 21.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that never happened.
Do you remember how many times 15 was
Oh,
killed?
Jesus.
Yeah, like,
it turned into an entire different game.
Yep.
It started as 13 verses. It was going to be a 13 sequel. 2 13 sequels came out, as well as one more Final Fantasy full release before it turned into what it was going to be.
Yep. All right, your turn, man.
Hold on. I'm looking to see if Tetsuya Nomura is in charge of...
I believe he is.
Because I know he likes to bitch every single time. No, it's not Tetsuya Nomura.
Okay.
Naoki Yoshida. I've not heard of this.
He made something else because they quoted him in it. I can't remember what it was, but yeah. All right, so your turn, man. I got 4 left. Might as well hit us with one.
I'm gonna jump up in here. Nintendo's new Switch Sports is transporting us back into the mid 2000s. Why is that? With a spiritual successor to Wii Sports? No, because people never learned their lessons and are destroying their TVs, going way too hard on all of the games. There are plenty of videos out there already, with more being added constantly, of people whipping their Joy-Cons into their TVs and destroying them.
And can I just say, I gotta say it was a bad idea. The minute they introduced that leg strap, I saw that, I'm like, that's gonna be problematic. Where you can like strap the Joy-Con around your leg. I'm like, there's no way. I'll put that on my 5-year-old. That'll be through a window in like 2 minutes. I don't care what kind of strap that connects with. That's
Yep,
hysterical.
sure as shit. So yeah, that's continuing, even though they give you straps anyways.
That's funny. That's funny. Okay, so my next one is this is just one for the dads out there who have had an infant. And while we never bought one of these for Stella, we actually I think it was one of our like gifts for Aubrey when she was younger, maybe at her first birthday. I can't remember, but there's this Fisher Price video game
Oh,
controller.
I saw
It like
this.
looks kind of like a modern controller, but it's all Fisher Pricey, with a smiley face or whatever. And it doesn't control anything. You turn it on, it lights up, and it makes noises when you click it. For the kids who get obsessed with your controller and want to touch it, you give them this. Somebody out there modded one of these things to actually play games. There's video of them playing Elden Ring with it because, of course, it's not you haven't
Yeah.
modded it correctly until you're playing Elden Ring. But they modded one of these Fisher Price controllers, these kids Fisher Price controllers, and then played Elden Ring with it. And I don't know, I thought that was hysterical to me.
Yeah, I saw this the other day. I'm not surprised.
No, I'm surprised
Everybody's
it took them
trying to
so
find.
long. Honestly,
Yeah, I'm surprised it took them so long because
yeah,
everybody tries to find weird ways to play those games.
yeah.
I don't know what it is, but that's just a new method that everybody has apparently.
Like the one guy who played Dark Souls with the rock band controller.
Yeah, I saw a
Remember that?
video recently of a girl playing one of the Dark Souls on a DDR pad.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's like the game is already so hard. You've got to find harder ways to play it. What a weirdo.
Extra good. Get most good. More
Get most
good.
good. Most good man now, please. All right, I believe it's your turn.
All right. According to an article by GamesBeat, Microsoft is planning on releasing a game streaming puck for
There
TVs
it
as
is.
well as a Samsung Smart TV app within the next 12 months. Now,
There
this
it
is not the
is.
first time we have heard about this.
Nope. It's
So
been
the
in the
rumor
works since
has,
last year. We knew about it.
yeah, yeah, we actually talked about
Yep.
this about a year ago. But the rumor has resurfaced, so we'll see if anything happens with that. I am beginning to think, though, especially given the fact that, the Series X's have been tough to come across, people are going to start looking for other options. And I think that they could actually make decent money on these.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. I think that this was always their original goal. Like I said in some of
Yeah.
the podcasts, I think some of their goals have shifted with the way Sony and their relationship has kind of changed over the last year and a half. But their goal was always cloud. It was always Game Pass. That's what they want. They want you to have Game Pass. They don't care how you get it. They want you in Game Pass. That's how they make their money. That's their whole money making strategy is Game Pass. They don't give a shit about and that's why they bought all these studios, not because they want you to buy the games, but because they want you to get Game Pass because they're going to be in Game Pass. That was always their goal back in the day, and this just feeds into that. I think this was always in the works. We talked about it back before when like Phil Spencer had almost made mention about it. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's really interesting if they think they've got cloud gaming to the point where they could do this. I think
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really interesting. I want to see how successful it will be because let's face it, the reason cloud streaming for Microsoft is like why like the X Cloud is so successful is because it's attached to Game Pass. And the fact that you can download these things to your systems, you can download them to your consoles, so you're playing them on the cloud supplementally, like really. I think that this is really going to be interesting. Like, how many people are really going to be like, how well will it do when this is your way to play? You know,
Right.
I actually have 7, by the way. I was wrong.
Oh,
Miscounted.
Jesus. Well, I only have one more, so
So I better just start going through them, right?
yeah, may as
Okay.
well.
So this one I did talk to you about, and this was the 7th one that I actually forgot to put on my odds and ends list. I put into our messenger, and we chatted about it a little bit. But Prince of Persia Remake has been delayed into 2023. So we heard about this game, I think, like a year ago at this point, on an
I don't know.
Ubisoft, one of those Ubisoft Forward shows. Basically, it was the original Prince of Persia Sands of Time remade. Then we didn't hear about it ever again. Basically, leading people to wonder if it was still being worked on. Out of nowhere, Ubisoft announced that basically it is still being worked on, but they're giving it to a different studio, which always means great things. So we don't know if means it's a complete rework. We don't know if this is a complete whatever, but yeah, Prince of Persia remake is not happening this year. Probably not for a few years, in my opinion.
Yeah, to kind of supplement that real quick, the remake was actually announced back in September of 2020. So it's actually been a bit longer.
Yeah, that's longer
And
than a year.
yeah, and from the article that I'm seeing actually here on IGN about this, they have a whole new studio.
Yeah.
So it very well could be
Yeah,
a reworking from
yeah.
the ground up.
Yeah, I don't know. And what was funny is we had a little back and forth about it, and you were like, basically like, what the fuck? Are they going to restart it? And my response is this: like, what confuses me about this is it's not even like a new IP. This isn't like original material. This is a 15-year-old game about parkour. And the only
Yeah.
thing fucking Ubisoft does absolutely 100% is parkour. Like every one of their fucking games has parkour in it. What's the holdup? What's the problem? Like, this is a 15-year-old game that you're remaking. The number one thing about it is it's got parkour and melee fighting. Every game Ubisoft has created in the last like 3 years has parkour and melee fighting in it. Why is this the challenge? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand at all.
It makes zero sense
It just
at
does.
all as to why it's so
crazy.
difficult for them. What is all of it? But at the same time, this is now Ubisoft's MO.
Right.
You know, they announce a project, they let it sit and languish forever, and then someday, one day, it maybe comes out.
And it maybe
Looking at
is
you,
great.
Skull and Bones.
Let's do it, Skull and Bones. Be the pirate game I always wanted. Okay. All right. So we're going to roll right in with the negativity. We're going to keep it going because I only have negative ones from here on out.
Yes.
Another delay. This is a game that I've had my eye on for a while. I think it looks really interesting. It's called The Day Before, and basically it is this zombie survival game with multiplayer elements that I've talked about the trailer on here before. I've talked about the game on here before. It just looks really cool to me, really interesting. It unfortunately has been delayed until March of 2023. It was supposed to come out, I believe, holiday this year, maybe a little bit early, I can't remember. But basically they said, look, we want to shift it to Unreal 5. We can't possibly shift it in Unreal 5 and finish it for its release date. So they're pushing it back till March 2023. You know, this is a one-time studio that has not really created any games of this magnitude before this. There were a couple of like I think Philbilly actually did some research on this company, and there was a couple of like big missteps before this one. But that being said, like none of them were like huge things. This is the first like AAA game I feel like they're coming out with, so I feel like I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt on this one because they seemed really honest about what they're doing with it. So, but yeah, if you were looking forward to playing that one this year, it's probably not going to be till next year.
I mean, stuff like that too. Like, I will give them a pass if they like straight up say like they want to do something else or something along those lines. Like, not like feature sort of stuff. The fact that they're changing to Unreal 5 from presumably 4. I mean, something like that takes time. It makes sense.
We just had that shift from that to another. They're trying to look at the longevity of their game down the road.
Right.
And this is very obviously going to be a game. I mean, it's got multiplayer elements. It's very obviously going to be a game that's going to have a long tail end roadmap. So you're going to want to have that compatibility all the way for a while, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, also get your spoon ready to eat your work because, this is the game industry.
This is true. Do you want to do your last one or you want me to keep going?
Yeah, I'll do my last one.
Okay.
And I cannot get enough of this entire saga. Babylon's Fall. So, according to website Steam charts, Babylon's Fall.
It.
Huh?
You're still tracking it. I love it.
Still
Didn't it have like
tracking
8 people last time?
Yeah. So
How could it get lower?
This point, it actually, at one point, fell to 1 player. It did not stay there, but it did have one single player at one point.
Doing? That guy's the committed one, man. That's the guy who's committed. That's the guy who's been there since the beginning. That's the guy who's like, I don't understand why people aren't playing this. Like, that's the dude right there.
It's his favorite game.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we joke about it, but like you've actually mentioned this before when we talked about this. This game is someone's favorite game for whatever reason. I'm not going to yuck your yum. So, it's not my bag for certain. Yeah. But again, how much longer are they going to hold on before they just pull the plug?
Again, I think what they should do is they should get quiet for a few months, really put a lot of work into a big update, release that update, see if the number count goes back up, give it a try, and then walk away. But I still think they owe it to themselves and the people who did purchase this game to give it a try. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Anthem was my favorite game at one point. It definitely was. I absolutely loved Anthem, and it had a lot of problems. I'm not saying it didn't. I'm not saying everybody should have gone out and bought it, but they were trying to do that update, and it got cut off at the knees by EA, and I feel like those people, you know what I mean? Like, that's another game that I can't plug that in and play it anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Mass Effect Andromeda. A lot of people hate that game. I've discussed this multiple times. It's my favorite Mass Effect to this day. I loved that game. I loved it through and through. That was another one that, like, it was my favorite game at the time. I never got to see any DLC. I never got to see the actual resolution of that story. I'm never going to see it. Like, I feel like these companies need to at least give the fans who paid for it, like, give it a chance. You know what I mean? Even if it's bad. And, No Man's Sky. You never know what's going to turn around. I think look, companies are going to company. They're out there to make money. But if I'm just talking about what I feel is morally right in the situation, you've made an agreement to your fans. You've made an agreement to the people who purchase this game to support the game, especially with a games as service. Like, that's what you do when you sell them the game, And when you do that, and then you don't do anything after it, you're kind of breaking that agreement. Regardless of whether the fans are playing it or not, you need to at least put something out there. You need to at least put a little effort in. Because otherwise it just looks like you attempted a cash grab, it didn't work, so you bailed. Yeah. So, like, I feel like we need at least one big update, see if it goes up, probably won't, then walk away. But you gotta at least stick with it a little bit, I mean, hell, they're still making shit for Godfall. That game sucks. Yeah. I can't believe they're still making shit for that. I don't know who's still playing that game, but they're still making shit for that. And in a way, I give them props for it because they never quit on that game. They wanted to make that game. They're giving that. And there are people out there, I am sure, that it's their favorite game, without a doubt. Those people are getting content. Those people are getting what they should get out of the experience for paying that $60, So I don't know. I think they should at least do one update and then walk away. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Well, I mean that was my last one. So the
Okay.
floor is yours.
All right, all right. First one, Activision. Yay, love talking about them. At least it's not about the
Yeah.
terrible, horrible human rights violations. This time, it's about just some stupid shit. Activision did not do great with the last Call of Duty game, Vanguard. It's I think it's been the lowest selling Call of Duty game in a long time, honestly. And I don't think it actually had the most sales that year. Like it didn't even like top number one charts or anything, which is usually Call of Duty, guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. Usually Call of Duty outsells everything every year, period. Like that's just how it is. Like because
Yeah.
casual gamers just buy Call of Duty. Like there are people out there who just play Call of Duty, period. They have a system for Call of Duty and that's it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it had low sales, and they asked Activision why. Now, do you think Activision was like, well, maybe it has something to do with the fact that we're uh, destroying human rights? Maybe it has something to do with the fact of all the controversy around our sale of our company, the multiple lawsuits against us, our very obvious processes of not of breaking unions. Do you think it had anything to do with the fact that we've had an annualized franchise for over 10 years? Over and over just putting out the games. Yeah, you think it had anything to do with that?
I'm sure it did. I'm sure they were very level-headed and gave a very reasonable response as to why it didn't sell.
I'm detecting the sarcasm in your voice, and I'm glad that it's there because if it wasn't, you'd be a fool. Because what they said was people don't like World War II. They blamed the Second World War on their failed sales. Right after
Well,
what,
who's
2 years
the
ago?
idiots that made the game? Who are the ones who
Okay.
decided to do that in the first place if that's the reasoning you're going to go with?
Right. Which is
Get
insane.
the actual fuck out.
I totally agree with that. But on top of that, just to heap on some stupidity there,
God.
there are a ton, like World War II came back huge. Their Call of Duty World War II was a huge seller for them. That was 2 Call of Duties ago. 2. And it sold just fine. Just fine. People aren't sick of World War II, man. You made a shitty game. Like, what do you want there?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you didn't make a shitty game. You just copy and pasted. Copy and pasted.
Yeah.
Plus, I think that they're not considering the fact that they make a gazillion dollars on Warzone, and Warzone's free.
Yeah, that too. I mean, you kind of took like one of the big draws of the time and spun it off into free to play. So, I mean, that's going to be eating your lunch for quite some time.
But the thing is it's not eating their lunch. That's what's bothering me about this. Is it's like fake victiming because like they're making hand over fist cash from Warzone. There's no way they lost
Yeah.
any money on Warzone.
Oh, yeah,
They're
no.
making probably more money on Warzone than they were on the paid version of the game in the first place. So now they're going to tell us, well, our sales went down because of World War II. Your sales went down, your physical
Because
sales
you're
went down
cannibalizing yourself.
because you cannibalized it to Warzone. But on top of that, you're making more money off Warzone, and you're basically selling the game twice. There, guys.
Right.
We noticed that too. You're selling the physical copy of the game, but you're also giving the Warzone part away for free, but still charging people shit for season passes and stuff. So like, you're like, you really think we're gonna feel bad about this? Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Okay, so my final one. So this is a little bit pro wrestling. Neil's gonna be a little bit out on this one, but if you are a professional wrestling fan and you're also a gamer and you want a video game professional wrestling game, you've really had 2 options for the last 10 years, like period. And those 2 options are whatever WWE 2K whatever has been out, or Fire Pro Wrestling. Those are your 2 options, okay? Fire Pro Wrestling is an extremely retro 8-bit style wrestling game, but it has this freedom to just add whatever stipulations and whatever characters. It's very independent, but it's a very retro style game, so it doesn't really look good. And then you have the WWE side, which looks good, but is buggy as fucking hell and very restricted to just WWE stuff. Those have been your two options. Your two options forever. Well, 2 years ago, when AEW really got started, they also announced a video game. This video game has been in development for a while. We're now starting to get more and more game footage releases and stuff. What's interesting about this is they're actually being developed by Ukes. Ukes actually made the old SmackDown games that people liked, like Just Bring It, Here Comes the Pain, which is absolutely one of the best wrestling games you can ever play ever. So Ukes used to be an old WWE developer. They're not anymore, obviously. They're working on AEW. So we got a bunch of great footage that looked really great. Everybody got really excited about it. However, we've gotten these inside reports that the AEW game, which is now called Fight Forever, by the way, is not doing so good. That it is extremely over budget. That of the 120 roster, of the 120 120 wrestlers on AEW's roster, there will only actually be 50 of them in the game because they've had to cut so much. There'll be a bunch of features cut from the game, and then I guess there's a big side argument because one of the greatest professional wrestlers of our current generation, Kenny Omega, is a big AEW guy. He was kind of like the wrestler part liaison to Ukes' Fight Forever. Apparently, him and Ukes hate each other, which is not working out so good. So now, because Kenny hates them, it seems like Tony Khan, who runs AEW, does not want to do more games with them after this. So, like, there won't be any DLC, and there won't be any, like, deal, because Ukes doesn't want to agree to DLC until Tony Khan agrees to a multi-game deal, and he won't. So we're probably not even going to get DLC out of this. So as good as this game has looked so far, and as cool as it sounded to have Ukes doing an alternative game to a WWE thing, it seems like it's in real trouble. And that's a bummer for wrestling fans, because we really need a game that isn't retro style, that fucking makes competition for WWE 2K, because we just do. We need a change there.
Because there's a lot of games out there that don't really have much in the way of competition.
Yeah.
And, Madden is one of the... there's... Sure, there's other football games out there, but they're the ones that have the NFL license.
Yep.
So, but at the same time, it's not that they're necessarily bad overall. It's just a repackage of the same shit year after year.
Yep.
So, they don't have to really innovate. Even something as mundane as golf, as the Tiger Woods games are back. That sort exactly of thing. Right. So, there's something to be said about the fact that mostly in the sports space, we have one rises to the top and nobody else dare try to do anything, be it because of licensing or, lack of familiarity.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, we really need some competition in the wrestling area, especially since wrestling... you talk about those sports games. The reason that those sports games are locked down is because the sports games, NFL is the only sports league out there, unless you're talking about the AFL, but they're not big enough. They don't have enough, or the XFL. They don't have enough money to do stuff like that. The AFL is the same way. So NFL is the only football out there, and NFL makes a deal with one company to make their games. That's how they work. It's the same with NBA. It's the same with the NHL. That's just how these things work. With wrestling, there are tons of promotions out there, both big and small. There's Impact Wrestling, AEW Wrestling, WWE. We've never had more choice in wrestling right now. There's MLW, GCW. Wrestling right now is... I don't want to say huge because I don't know that it'll ever be as huge as it was in the Attitude Era, but there's just so much choice. You can very easily find the type of wrestling you want and watch it, whether it be through YouTube, Fight TV, or any one of their own streaming services. So it'd be so easy to like get a competitor, but for some reason nobody seems to be able to make a fucking wrestling game that's worth shit other than the retro one. And Fire Pro Wrestling is a great game. I don't want to knock it, but at the same time, it's very retro, and aesthetically, like it's just not there for. That's not what I want. I want something to look a little prettier, like the 2Ks. But 2K is it's just so heavy-handed. So like yeah, we need a competitor in that space. We need something like that. I was hoping AEW's Fight Forever would be that, but it is sounding like they are in serious trouble. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see where that goes.
Yeah.
That was my last odds and ends. You want to do plugs and wrap this show up?
Sure.
Alrighty then.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Alright, so that brings us to the end of the show. The shameless self-promotion that comes with it. Neil, you got anything special you want to plug this week?
Well, nothing like immediately, except for maybe one thing. We are doing the Halo, what are we even calling it? The firefight thing. Are we still calling it Lasso?
I don't know what we're calling it. Yeah.
Yeah. But this coming Wednesday, if I remember correctly. So if you are listening to this tomorrow, if you are watching this today, we'll be doing that, provided, unless any catastrophic something happens.
I'm so glad you said something. I totally forgot.
Hopefully my
God, I'm glad you said something.
Hopefully my computer doesn't lock up like it did last time whenever you and I did the firefight thing at the end of Halo Infinite Road.
There's a movie I love, an old movie I love. It's hard to get through, and it's called The Way of the Gun. And there's a line from it that I absolutely love. And that line is one guy goes to the other guy and goes, "What do you think?" And the other guy goes, "I think a plan is a list of things that doesn't happen." So I think streaming's the same way. Streaming is just technical difficulties that haven't happened yet.
Yeah, and speaking of, I did not get to do one last week, but I'm going to be trying to possibly get to a stream sometime on Tuesday, provided my schedule works out. Go figure, I start actually trying to actively stream, and the end of the semester starts ramping up, so I actually have shit I need to do on a regular basis in my free time. So maybe, maybe not. Who knows? You'll find out one way or another.
I think that's why I missed your stream last time, because I do amateur hour every Tuesday night. I think it was on stream when you went live.
Yeah, I primarily whenever I go to do it, chances are it's going to be sometime during the day.
During the day. Okay.
Yeah, I won't be doing it in the evening. Like almost at all ever, unless there's some extenuating circumstance.
Then it wasn't
usually
the
it's
amateur
during the day. Yeah, I don't know. I think there was something going on. I may not have something set up correctly because I have it set on OBS that it will automatically start streaming on my Twitch, but I don't think a notification actually goes out whenever it starts. So I'm gonna have to take a look at that.
I might. Yeah, I don't know. All right, as for me, I'm going to plug it again, guys. Working on a tabletop role-playing game, looking for a release of late summer, early fall, because I'm going to keep saying it and manifest that to happen. So please check out Axiom Games' YouTube channel, as well as Axiom Games LLC Facebook page. I will be posting Dev Diaries weekly from me, telling you guys where we are in the process. I'm also going to try and upload some play videos of it, and I'm gonna try and do a stream here with my partner in crime on this game, Mark Bell, just to show you guys, because he's actually done like a tabletop simulator mod, so just to kind of give you guys an idea of what the game's gonna be. So please subscribe to that, like that, check that out if you like tabletop games, and I'm gonna keep talking about it here. Just I am trying to get that going so that I don't have to go back to work. I want this to be my job. That being said, as far as this channel is concerned, we've kind of switched to mostly streaming. We're still doing the preludes on Sunday. We do have the Halo Firefight, whatever that's going to be called, this Wednesday. Now that I've been reminded of it, Tuesday night amateur hour. I don't know what I'm playing this week because I went into Sifu's update and it kicked the ever loving shit out of me, and I don't know if I have it in me to torture myself in that way again. They did difficulties, Neil, in their first update. So like you can
What do you mean?
They added an easy mode and a hard mode basically. And the
Oh.
hard mode is holy shit hard. Like holy shit hard. And I don't know like all the work I put into actually beating it Wu Day on the normal difficulty, I don't know if I'm capable of beating it on Master. I think it might just be beyond me. So I don't know what I'm playing this Tuesday. But I'm playing something. Skyrim lunch stream will be back. I'm also going to try and do a stream Tuesday, 11 a.m. for a little while with Danny and Jason, if we can get to it. That'll have already happened. I keep forgetting this goes out on Tuesday. That'll already have happened. Check it out on the channel. It's there. And then finally, episode 5 of Axiom. We're still doing Star Trek Axiom, the tabletop RPG. I feel like it's finally hitting its stride, honestly. I feel like the last 2 episodes have been really good, so please check that out. The VOD is here on the channel, and it goes up every other Friday. So that's it, guys. Pitch or Die. I know I've plugged enough, but Pitch or Die, I'm really enjoying Pitch or Die. You guys seem to really be enjoying Pitch or Die, so I'm going to keep doing them. So check those out. And then, finally done, now that I've plugged literally everything we have. You guys can reach us on Facebook at OmanGamingDH, on Twitter at OmanGaming9. You can join our Discord. Links in the description below. You can influence this and all of our shows from there. As usual, guys, you keep watching, you keep listening. We will keep making them. See you guys next time. I put a fire pit in.
Yeah, I saw that. It looks like it turned out pretty good.
Dude, it did. And let me just say, overall, that big fire pit, and it's big. It's got, I think, like 3 feet. 3 feet each way, so you could get good. Yeah, you could get a good bonfire going. That was $100 out the door to put that together.
Oh yeah, that's not bad at all.
That's not bad at all. 24 concrete blocks. We used builder's blocks, so we didn't get any of the decorative shit because they always overprice that. And then we got just concrete builder block caps, so that nothing would crawl into the concrete holes. And then I got one, I think it was like a 100-pound bag of like pea gravel, and then one bag, a 50-pound bag of sand to kind of like help with leveling. And then dug an inch and a half down, took the sod out, put in the bricks, leveled them off, put the second row in, put the cap on, then put the gravel in the center. You know what sucked though? if you ever decide to do something like that, call me, because I have 7 things that I can tell you, okay, you're gonna think to do this, don't do that. You know what I mean? And the first thing we did, and we did it really logistically. We broke it down, like how many concrete blocks are we gonna need? How are we gonna do this? Let's watch a couple videos, like really get an idea of it. We did, and then we drove to the store and bought all the stuff, and then went out to her Hyundai Tucson, and we're like, how the fuck did we ever think we were gonna get 1,000 pounds of blocks into this fucking Hyundai Tucson with a wheelbarrow, a shovel,
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we're like having this crisis, and like we're trying to figure out, like, do we know anyone with a truck that's close, and how many trips would it take? It'd probably take like 3. And then finally Melissa's like, U-Haul's up the road, let's just go. They have that truck sharing, let's just go. $20, rent a truck. Get up there, right? The trucks for the truck sharing are all reserved already.
Oh no.
So Melissa walks into the store, right? She walks into U-Haul. I'm in the car with Stella, just so that she doesn't have to deal with that. She's in there for a little while. Then she comes out, just like looking like dejected. And I get out, and I was like, "How'd it go?" And she just points at this 17-foot moving van.
Oh Jesus.
I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "That's our truck." And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And she's like, "Nope, that's all they had. The truck share trucks are reserved." And I was
Oh
like,
my god.
"How much did that cost?" She was like, $40, but I don't care. We're getting this shit done. So we literally had a 17-foot U-Haul moving truck for 24 concrete blocks.
Oh god.
It was such a train wreck. It was such a train wreck. We drive it there. My neighbor's like, "Why are you moving?" I was like, "I'm not moving. I'm just a fucking idiot." like it's not that. Yeah. So like, but put it in. Only took about 2 hours. Yeah. And it's pretty good. It's a little gappy in places, but it's pretty good. I'm pretty proud of it.